Sparingly?
Martin Luther King Jr. was a man of service, and his day shall be a day of service.
He inspired us in words, but he led us in deeds. To honor him, let's do the same. Go to mlkday.gov and find out how to volunteer on Martin Luther King Day and beyond. This message is brought to you by the Corporation for National
To the final segment of the show for today, we're talking to members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Pastor Walker, Mr. Pritchard, and Mr. Goldthreath. All three have given us some excellent information in reference to some of the challenges faced by African American youth today. And let's continue that information, Mr. Goldthreath, by looking at some of the things that the NAACP is doing now and has done in reference to making our young people much more aware of the importance of that organization. And of course, Ms. Pritchard will tie into that, and she'll make some statements, and then we'll end it up by having Pastor Walker in a general sort of roundtable kind of discussion in reference to this.
Well, one thing that I was always had the opportunity to take a look at is getting parents to support our new program. Our boards are set up for the individuals from 13 and under down to 5. They become presidents, vice presidents, learn the Robert Rule Order. They learn to be CPAs. They learn to be treasurer. They run their own little organization. Our junior division, youth division, they starts out at 19 to 13, and they have their own organization. Thanks to the director of Halley Park, gave us meeting facilities down there where we meet on Saturdays once a month, and they run their own organization. This is what we're trying to do, teach the children to be leaders at a younger age, and they will continue to lead forward.
And Ms. Pritchard, that's essentially what you're doing in reference to being the president of the youth organization. How many members do you have in that organization in a real sense? I mean,
we have at least 150 regular youth members, and then we have at least about 30 lifetime members.
You mean you've got 150 young people that come to a youth organization for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People? I would say, Pastor Walker, that that's an extraordinary number of young people to get together concerning such an organization. And evidently you're doing a great job, much more than people would give you credit for, because I really would not have thought that it would be that many individuals who would be involved in the youth activities. What about at some of the colleges and some of the universities? Are you able to reach out to those institutions as well?
Yes and no. Because of the way that our organization is set up, there's an age limit from each section, the youth and the juniors. And because of the age limit, it's 18. It's either 18 or 21. I'm forgetting at the current moment. But because of that age limit, normally the actual university level and the youth level, we coincide together, especially in Nashville, because both Vanderbilt, Fisk, and TSU, they all have either functioning or currently working on making sure that they're properly functioning youth organizations there too. And so sometimes we partner together, like some of our forums and roundtables in the future will be partnering together as far as facility goes or training goes, or just making sure that we know where we're going with things. So.
Very good. And I think, Pastor Walker, those are some good statements in reference to getting young people to participate. I think I'm sort of amazed in a real sense that so many young people are actually taking advantage of the National Association for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Absolutely, Dr. Haney. That not only, excuse me, there are a lot of people, young people, that really want to do something positive, but because a lot of times media projects a negative image, you hear it from the radio, television, and the like of our youth. It's so easy to highlight, the negativity of youth. A youth do something that's not right, then it's everywhere. Everybody gets that information. But you take an event at the First Amendment Center that took place on a week or so ago, then you didn't. Where's the news coverage on that? Why? Because there was positive youth gathered together for a positive experience, and for whatever the reason, that just don't make news. It's just not good news, because everybody knows that when you turn on your news channel, the good news is the bad news. Because that's who That's what people turn it on to see. But when you got a group of youth that you're consistently working with, and you're bringing them up and you train them up and you're giving them a knowledge of themselves, a knowledge of the past, now they can take that knowledge of themselves and the knowledge of their past, and they can build a great character, and they can stand strong. And that's I think, Dr. Haney, that's a fear in America. Because if you see what's happening with the educational system, the dumbing down of our educational system, the taking away your name. When I was in school, we had civics class. What happened to it? Why is it not necessary now? Because you learn how the government function, how it operates and stuff like that. So you have a working knowledge of how to maneuver yourself through life. But now it's like there's a dumbing down. So what's important now is that we educate youth as to who we are, where we come from, and where we can go based upon the knowledge we have of our past. And I think that's how we got to look at this thing, and that's why I'm so excited about being able to. I don't know if Mr. Goldthreath knows, but I'm up under his wing. I am up under his wing, boy. I'm like a chicken up under the chicken.
I can understand.
Wing, because his experience and his expertise in this field, and his passion and his drive to make sure that our youth have access to this knowledge that he has, and not like so many others gain a knowledge, got the knowledge, and then refuse to share the knowledge and information. And as a result of that refusal, then we got a whole generation of young folks that are kind of like at their own disposal to do whatever they want to do. Yeah, left to their own device. Yeah, and we can't afford to do that. We got to train them up. It's biblical. Train up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they'll not depart from them. That's what's happening in this process.
Mr. Goldthreath, give us some final statements in reference to that. We've got about 3 minutes before we end this show for today.
You can take a look at our high schools. Each high school, we have a president and a vice president. Ms. Pritchard probably can tell you she's having a meeting this Thursday of each high school, vice president, president. We're going to have 18 divisions like Pearl Corn, University School, East Magna School. Each school is going to have 18 divisions dealing with the inner city and suburban areas, and we all come together and we teach them the political situation of today.
And so, Ms. Pritchard, you're saying that the youth are just about ready to become involved and mature in the sense of understanding the struggles that have occurred and what the NAACP has done in reference to this. Is that what we're saying?
Basically, I believe that youth were always ready and willing and waiting to become more involved. It's just the ability to do so. Because even at a young age, it's not necessarily that we're disadvantaged, but there's more hoops that I guess you have to jump through to be able to go do the things that you like to do. And this is something that I know, at least I, myself, and everybody else that is participating, it's something we want to do. So we make sure we're up at 9 o'clock in the morning for some meetings on Saturdays, and we're staying up later to go to other meetings to make sure that we're bettering ourselves. So it's not necessarily that the youth of today isn't willing to do it. It's just that there's not necessarily always a means to do so.
Or an opportunity to do so. And so you find that, in other words, there's a consciousness that you believe that's out there, and all we have to do is to, encourage that consciousness?
Encourage to give a little push, let them know, hey, we have a meeting this Saturday, like when and where they can go, and making sure that, and it's also slightly a partnership with our parents or our guardians or whoever else is there for us to make sure that they're being there, because at the end of the day, that it all goes back to them. So it's just...
And Pastor Walker, we've got about a minute and a half before we end the show for today. What do you think about these young people that are...
Well, Dr. Haney, Sidney Pritchard, she's a reflection of the type of youth that are in existence. There are some very intelligent, very articulate youth out there that are just waiting for somebody to just show some interest, show some concern, and kind of point the way, guide them through the process, and help them make their way through the pathways of life. They're out there in droves, but like I said earlier, we only see the negative ones. We don't get to see the positive one, and that's what we're trying to highlight. That's what we're going to, not trying to, that's what we're going to highlight. We're going to bring to the surface all these positive youth that are just like Ms. Pritchard said, are just waiting for the pathway, the opportunity, for the avenue, for the vehicle to get them to where they already have a desire to go. But when you got these obstacles, you got these roadblocks, you got these people standing in front of you saying, well, you can't. One thing I like about the election of President Barack Obama to the highest office in the world is that he opened a doorway that says, I can.
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
So that's where we are.
And let me, over the last half minute that we have here, Pastor Walker, let me thank you and the members of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People for bringing young people to us today, and as well as Mr. Goldthreath, who has the history behind him. But I think Ms. Pritchard sort of gives us a new glimpse in terms of what the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is doing and has done and can continue to do. And I just want to thank all of you for being with us today. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.